great to have you. It is the Joe Pags Show. Great radio stations everywhere. Newsmax TV, iHeartRadio. Also get us on social, joepags.com. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, email. It's all right there. Make sure you stop by. I appreciate you taking part. Before we get into the interview with Dottie Laster, we're going to do that in a second. She's the executive director over the Heidi Search Center. Carrie, you've got a story that I want to put out there, and I do believe that we have pictures as well. We'll put it on Facebook and Twitter and the websites and on TV. If you can, outline this story, which is just happening right now.
Right. This is going on in Houston. Authorities are on the lookout for a missing 7-year-old boy and his mother. Deer Park police said Landon Bertling and his mother Casey, who suffers from mental illness, are missing. Casey also has a known meth problem, according to police. The child was last seen on August the 28th in a white collared shirt and navy blue pants. Casey Bertling was picked up by Deer Park police during a mental health crisis, during which she assaulted a police officer. She was then taken to Bayshore Hospital, where she left or escaped. And there is a $5,000 reward for information leading to their safe return.
Okay, so I wanted to make sure that we put that out there and got the information out there. Hopefully their family can have a good reunion, can have a good result. Meantime, I've got Dottie Laster on the line. She's the executive director of the Heidi Search Center. Dottie, how are you?
Hey, it's good to talk to you.
Yeah, it's great to talk to you again, and we appreciate the hard work that you put in, the work that you do. For many people across the nation right now listening, they don't know what the Heidi Search Center is. Can you fill us in?
Sure. We help families whose loved ones have gone missing. We coordinate with law enforcement, and we also educate in the community and hopefully, stop any of these things from happening. That would be our first goal. And then my particular expertise is in human trafficking, so I bring that 13 years of experience to the table, which I didn't realize until a year ago how important that is to missing persons cases.
We didn't really hear the term human trafficking until recently. I'm sure it's been happening a lot longer than since we've been hearing about it. But for those who have just now become acclimated with even the term, could you give a brief description of what that is?
Sure. That's anyone held in service of another through force, fraud, or psychological coercion for purposes of commercial sex or forced labor. Basically, when someone tricks a teen or young adult and lures them away for purposes of exploitation, that's what we're talking about.
And again, human trafficking can be across international borders, can be across different states. It can be run by gangs. It could be run by somebody who tries to be a confidant or get the confidence of the young person. What are the signs that we should be aware of, that we should be looking out for?
Well, yes, exactly what you said. It could be anywhere across state, and it can also be where it never even leaves home. So there is no place that we can say it's not happening. You want to look for changes in appearance, especially fingernails. When you start seeing the hair and fingernails being done, maybe a slip in the grades, an isolation from friends and family, or maybe some conflicts, those are the first early warning signs.
It's Dottie Laster, the Heidi Search Center. I know that you've got a couple of people that we want to put out there, and since our harrowing ordeal last week and the healing process is going to take a very long time for our family, I made it a point to say here on this show, and I'll stand by this, I'm going to try to help, even in this, the small way I can through this avenue, this vessel that I have, to get the word out for some missing people in the community. And again, this is across the nation now on great radio stations everywhere on TV. It's too. Who are we looking for? Who are you focusing on this week?
Well, one specific one that's a newly missing person is Christy Fuentes.
Okay.
And she has gone missing from the Converse area. She does have some disorientation and needs medication, and we really could use the community's help to find her.
For those who don't, I want to stop you there. For those who don't know, and again, we're nationwide. Converse is a city, a community not far from San Antonio. It's in the San Antonio area in Texas. So if you've seen this person, and again, we'll get this together. Karina, do me a favor. Let's make an item, and I'll put this up on my social media as well. The pictures of the folks that we're looking for. How long has she been missing?
It's been about a week or so.
Okay. And you've also got another one.
Another one, more of a longer-term missing, and I believe this young gentleman could be anywhere in the United States, so I'm asking all your nationwide audience to pay attention to Jordan Green. He'll be missing a year in November, and his family is just devastated. I mean, I often describe you could pour gasoline on a parent and light a match, and it would feel better. than what they're going through. So we need help finding Jordan, too.
Okay, so when did the Heidi Search Center start, and how extensive is it? Do you have a center or a facility or an outlet in all states? Are you nationwide? Is it based only in San Antonio? What do you guys do?
Well, our office is here in San Antonio. We're 26 years old, but we have cases and people that reach out to us from all over the nation. I spoke to a woman from Indiana this morning, especially with these trafficking cases. They don't stop here locally. And we have volunteers, teammates, and just amazing people that we've accumulated over these 26 years that are quite an amazing force.
I can imagine. The folks who are rescued from a situation like this, what stories that you can say on the air, what stories are you hearing? And are they the best tool you have in helping other young people either not fall into this or recover from it?
Yes, I learned from every case, and I learned from the victim of every case, along with their family. And I try to debrief them and find out what was working, when did we have contact but didn't know it, what tricks were being used.
Yeah.
And it boils down to the same story almost every time. We just change the names and dates. Someone befriended them, lured them, tricked them, made them think that, you know, they were the best thing they'd ever met, that it was fate, whatever, and lured them away. And then a series of sleep deprivation, maybe some trauma, trickery, and that kept them getting a little further away. And then, of course, it gets worse from there.
The signs that parents can look for other than the hair's getting done, the nails are getting done. We're talking about social media here. I mean, potentially change in attitude, maybe drug use, something like that. What signs are you looking for?
Well, I'm definitely looking at social media. Almost all my cases involve these interactive applications, and the ones with dissolving messages are really troublesome. Even law enforcement can't get to those messages.
Like
And
Snapchat.
who
They
needs
said
that?
Snapchat has that where you can message something and put a time limit on it, then it goes away.
Exactly. I mean, bad people need that, and they're out there. It's not if they're out there, it's how many times they're going to target your kid. They target my site all the time, my Facebook and my social media. I'm like, they don't even read what I do. They just want someone to respond.
And again, it's Dottie Laster, the Executive Director, Heidi Search Center. Do we have any numbers on how many young people are involved in this? I mean, how extensive is this?
Well, it's still a guess. I think we're at the front end of combating this rather than the back end.
Yeah.
And it grows exponentially. There's estimates that it's about a $32 billion a year industry.
Wow.
So that's similar to McDonald's, the Hollywood movie industry. It's that large. And it's not shrinking, it's growing.
And there are advocates out there like you and others. How is it growing? I mean, how can it possibly be that lucrative? I mean, maybe I'm just a normal guy that doesn't have these disgusting thoughts in my mind. But how is that possible that there is so much of a consumer base out there for this kind of activity?
Well, if I could fix that, I could fix the problem.
Yeah.
But I will say commercial sex is a big part of it. There is forced labor as well and domestic servitude. But a big part of it is the commercial sex. And that is marketed only to men. It's not marketed to women.
You mean the porn industry?
Porn, stripping, and prostitution.
Okay.
And so any of those three fit into commercial sex. Anything of value exchanged for a sex act. Anything erotic, sex act, whatever. So stripping, pornography, and prostitution. They aren't marketed to women. If anyone thinks women are willingly filling those roles to meet that demand, they're deluded. It's barbaric. It's ridiculous. Our society does not need it. They need to stop it.
Heidi Search Center. Somebody thinks there's something like this going on, and it's Dottie Laster, the executive director. They think something like this is going on. Call you. Call the police. Who do they call?
Call the police. Tell them say the words human trafficking if you think that is what it is.
Okay.
So it gets in a report, and then call us. We'll help you maneuver the report. We work closely with law enforcement, U.S. Marshals, all of those great guys on your team.
Yeah.
We work with them constantly. They're our heroes. The other thing we're doing is starting a School of Investigation, Texas Institute of Investigation. I've teamed up with Gillespie Security and Investigations out of Austin.
Okay.
Huge, amazing forensics background, my human trafficking. And we're going to train as many investigators as we can so that the United States is safer for victims and children and much more hostile to the bad guys.
Dottie, we appreciate the time. What's the website that people can go to and find out more?
HeidiSearchCenter.org. They can also follow us on Facebook and Twitter, and they can catch me, DOTTIELASTER.com.
Okay.
And please hit us in all those places. If they want to be in the investigator school, sign up at theheidisearchcenter.org. We want all those brains out there helping us.
I will put all of those websites and phone numbers and anything else that we can get from your center. I'll put that up on my social media as well. Hopefully a lot of people will get a hold of you, and hopefully we can save some lives and get some people back, Dottie. Thank you so much.
Every day. And, hey, Joe, it is awesome to hear you back talking like you normally do. That's what we do. You know, that's what I
without
get
a doubt.
Every morning for.
Thank you, because
so,
I got to tell you, I've gotten plenty of messages from people saying, "Hey, sounds like you're back." And last week I was a broken man, still pretty broken. I mean, we're putting it back together, and it's a long process, and you know that it's a long process, no matter what the circumstances were. But yeah, it's good to have my voice back, and I'm glad that I'm able to lend that voice to maybe help somebody else.
All right. Well, you hang in there, and you have all the love and support from everyone we work with, and I really appreciate you having me on, and thanks so much.
Dottie, we'll talk soon. We really appreciate you. Dottie Laster, she is the executive director over at the Heidi Search Center. It's theheidisearchcenter.org. Go to that website. We'll get some items. We'll put it up on my my Facebook, my Twitter, my Instagram, all of that stuff. And yeah, I think that we as a society, as we get more hooked on social media and our devices and our internet and our daily lives, we tend to have bigger filters on, almost like a horse racing down a track. You try to block out the other horses so the horse can focus on what the goal is. Well, at some point we have to take those off and take those back, and we have to start realizing that we need to notice what's happening with our children, other people's children, who's hanging around, who's looking this way, that way, the other way. How can we save a life today? Whose tragedy can we try to help make better? And I really think that we used to be more like that in this country. And it's almost to me, and Carrie, I've talked about this before. Mm-hmm. It's almost like it's almost like it's devised by some greater power. And I don't mean a holy power. I mean like a governmental power, that we're all locked into our devices in our own little world on Snapchat, right, and you know, Twitter, da and all this other crap. We're also locked into that. We think that's the most important thing going, that we forget to look, and we forget to smell, and we forget to taste, we forget to look and understand and observe. And I think that's exactly what somebody out there wants us to do. If we're all completely locked in our own little world of how important we are individually, then we don't notice those around us who do need the help. Does that make sense?
It makes perfect sense. We need to pay attention to our surroundings.
Exactly right.
Family.
And you know, the children, should I sing? I believe the children are our future. Treat them well and let them. No, don't stop doing that. But you know, all seriousness, without a doubt, we had people watching over us at all seconds of the day when we were kids, and somehow the social media has slipped in, and we feel as though they're safe. They're just holding a little device. What's the big deal? They're safe.
It's a big deal.
And it turns out maybe not so much. And we have to open our eyes. I certainly learned an awful lot about the kind of parent I thought I was and the kind of parent it turns out I was. 1-800-383-9624, joepags.com. Stay right here.